Okay, we are live.
One false start, doesn't matter. It's like a little rehearsal for us. Anyway.
Okay, so today we are talking about our new, how does it go?
It's the new, you're talking about what we're talking about.
What the name of the kit is.
Oh, the recoil, it's the red, I'm going to mix up
Rachel.
the words.
Rachel, help us, please.
Hi, you guys made and designed some accessories for the RED cameras. You made a RED top plate and you made a rig, which is called the RED EVF Recoil.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I know what I made. It's just that you guys name it differently than we name it sometimes.
We should tell people that like making stuff, easy. Naming stuff, impossible.
Right.
We can make anything, but we can't name anything. It's so hard. It's incredible. All right, let's talk about this kit because I think it's great. It's a recoil, and I want to just define what a recoil is. We sat back a long time ago and we said we want to brand this new word called a recoil because our philosophy completely stems from this idea of balance.
Yep.
We're used to using balanced cameras, beta cams, film cameras. Those were things that were built to put on your shoulder, do handheld shots. And when I watch TV, I keep telling you, I'm a bigger TV watcher than you.
That's for sure.
75% of these damn shows now, most of it is handheld. And we need to explain to people that there is a huge aesthetic difference between handheld, Steadicam, Movi. Each of these things have a different nature. And I'm just going to talk about one other thing, and then I'm going to send this over to you because this is really your baby. But some people grab this camera, this RED camera, in like this, and we call that a guerrilla style shooting. It's, you're doing a boxing scene, you want that guerrilla style shooting. You're kind of moving the camera around like this.
Yeah, I know operators that like to hold it here, and the only time that gets into an issue is if you're close to somebody, then you end up shooting up at them. You know what I mean? A lot of handheld, though, is naturally needs to be on the shoulder. Yeah, so but there's different aesthetics with both those.
Yeah, this is a totally different aesthetic. This is this kind of a thing like this. Handheld gives you this this is like a danger scenario to me. Handheld is sort of like I'm a participant in the scene. It adds a little sense of urgency and it makes you feel like you're there.
Yet pretty stable, like our eyes, and at eye level.
That's the big thing. It's like when you do this, you're always shooting up at somebody. So like you said, so it's a totally different aesthetic. But our issue is that when you decide to shoot handheld, you're working on a TV show and you're shooting, 14-hour days, you cannot have the thing not be balanced. So I want to go through a couple of the not be balanced photos, and I don't mean any disrespect with this. I don't want to say it's a difference in philosophy because one is correct and the other is completely not correct. And the only way you know that is via experience. So
hey guys, before we get a little too far, can I just say hi over here?
Okay.
And just let everybody know, hi, everybody who's watching. We've had a few more people join us in the last couple minutes. That I'm Rachel. I will be in the chat talking with you guys as we go. So if you have any questions about the gear, as the guys walk and talk through it, please let me know and I'll make sure we ask it right away. I also wanted to let everybody know that we've got a couple coupons running on the new gear today. We've got 10% off the RED plate and 20% off the full kit. I'm going to put all the coupon info and the links in the comments right now, and I'll do it again at the end for a reminder. All right, that was my little spiel. Let's go.
All right, I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm so disrespectful. I always forget to let you introduce you actually. So
you're fine. There's always a lot at the top of the show.
I know. And this is live, man. There's a lot going on, and we're older. We got to keep it all in our head, So
and just rolled out of bed. So.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to pick one of the non-disrespectful shots. Go full, and I want to talk about these.
Wow.
Okay.
That hurts me just looking at it.
Yeah. Now, some people might look at that and go, okay, what's the problem? Well, there's a huge problem here. It looks effortless. There must be a string that's been on the top, but the point is he is literally holding about 25 pounds of weight in his hands. Okay,
in front of him.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So he's not able to operate with finesse now. He is just supporting all that weight.
Yeah, I mean, you can do this for a couple. Have you ever held we do this sometimes when we were doing Pilates. We'd hold 3-pound weights out in front of us. 4 minutes and it feels like it's 100 pounds. Let's go to pick two. Okay, now this may look like it's balanced, but really the balance point is somewhere approximately where the lens meets the camera body. So, and you can see that it would have...
Yeah, your shoulder's nowhere near that.
Right, I mean, it's on the back of this rig. Again, everything is supported by your hands. Like you said, how do you take one hand away and grab the lens if you're a one-man band?
The whole thing will shift.
Yeah, it's just, you're not operating it, as you said. Next pick. This is even a bigger problem. Those little wings on the front and back are not doing anything. You're still, if you let go, the whole thing is falling to the floor. Next pick. This same thing. It's all...
If the camera is in front of your shoulder, it's not going to be balanced, and you're going to be fighting it. It's the bottom line with all these pictures.
Right. They're making it seem like that battery is some sort of a counterbalance. It's sitting on top of your shoulder, essentially, or slightly. You need to send that a foot behind you.
That battery is nowhere near heavy enough to counterbalance that anyway.
Yeah, right. Okay. But I would have taken both of those parts and send them 8 inches behind my shoulder, and you know, it would have been a little better. But still.
Right. But the problem with that is that you're creating a huge rig. You know, really long.
And then the inertia, when you turn it, you can't stop that. Next pick. I mean, this same thing. Next pick. This is similar to the first pick, except the only difference is he had an EVF on that one, and here he's using the RED monitor. Okay, so let's come back to us.
Plus his face was so close to that screen, I'd go cross-eyed.
He was young, man. He can do that.
It's going to make him go cross-eyed sooner than later. Like that. All right, so having said that, our recoil rig really corrects all that, because you're able to put your shoulder underneath where the lens meets the camera, which is the balance point for most of these configurations.
Right. Now, we've created this rig that we're going to show. Why don't you cut to our little rig that we have here. So what's unique here about this little rig, and as you can see, the shoulder is approximately where show them the exact center of that shoulder.
Well, here, if I keep on the shot, if I lift here from this handle, you can see how it's balanced right where my finger is the balance point.
And that's another
thing.
It's
right here.
These handles, I mean, it's like, it's not just the idea of having it balanced on your shoulder. It has to be balanced with the hand. Remember the Betacam? You could pick that thing up. They figured out where the handle needs to go. So let's say you're doing a low mode shot. You can't be fighting this thing like this. You're not going to get a real shot. I mean, this is, I don't want to say this is proper design, but this is what you need. Okay? I'm trying to be very respectful here. So let's cut back to that shot where you can see the rig. So here you got this lovely, really nice compact, I'm going to call it a little docu setup. So this is, to me, if you're a one-man band shooter, this is a perfect small design with a large camera, actually.
So let me just explain, though, too, so that people know what they're looking at. This has our basic kit in it, but there's a kit just the next level up that includes the attachment for the Access Mini and then the graticle. So this part right here you're seeing is an upgrade. I think we actually have a still shot of that with this grayed out, so you can see the parts that you get in this kit. You got that, Sean? Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So you can see the top handle, the top plate, which I'm going to talk about in a minute because it has a lot of unique features. Then the grips, and then of course the shoulder pad, which is the VCT base plate on the bottom. That's the basic kit. Then you can upgrade to, like I said, the EVF and the Access Mini and its attachment there, which is what I have on set here. If you can cut back to that.
So this is a kit. This is a second kit. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. We may even have a picture of that second kit. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, so this configuration you're looking here. Yeah. Okay. So this configuration I'm showing you here is like how I would want to use it. The problem that I see in a lot of the basic kits is that people want to use, or they end up having to use, the monitor that comes with RED up front, right? I don't know. Yeah, you can see right here, right at this attachment point where these pogo connectors are. That creates a problem to where you can never put a handle in the proper place for balance. So even if it's if you have your monitor here and you put your handle behind it, sort of blocking the screen.
There, that's an example of that.
Right. That is not perfectly balanced.
And perfect is important. People go, it's a couple inches, but a couple of inches means now you're fighting your rig when you're trying to do a low mode shot.
Correct, and the monitor is limited in its movement in this place. But this is the way, like RED, you know, a lot of users show it and have a handle, their own handle placed there.
I just want to interrupt for one second here. There's and I know that I'm shifting gears, but it just occurred to me, when you're doing a low mode shot, go back to the shot of the camera here. Look at how you can just, if those grips, a lot of people have the grips fixed in a down position with rosettes. Here, show them how you can flip that grip just, you know, just slightly.
Oh, you mean how these move like this?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, boom, flip them up. Now you're doing a low mode shot, and you don't have to start, you know, putting the thing on the ground and undoing rosettes and all this. So we were talking low mode, so I you know me, shiny object. I moved away. Go back.
What was I talking about? I think the monitor position and how it affects where you can put the handle. So what that leads me into now is to make the best recoil rig for the RED cameras is this top plate. Maybe you guys can cut to me and I'll show you.
Before you do that, what if you have a long lens on there?
Well, I can explain it with part of this. Okay, so here's a shot of our top plate. Okay, now this top plate has the pogo connectors in there, so for the pass-through to the monitor, as well as the grip start-stop pogo connections right there. But what's unique about ours, besides some of the other features, is that I've placed the Z-rail that you see here flush with the surface so that you can mount things on top, but also extending out in front over the lens, which none of the other plates have. What that allows you to do is, especially with a heavier lens, is to mount your grip out in front and over the lens. And in some instances, depending on what you have for accessories and balance, you could still use the Z-rail here and aim it back. That's where you'll have to relocate your monitor, similar to what I have on this camera on set here. But this kit comes with a piece of Z-rail that you can mount on the top here as well, so that you can put your handle anywhere on this top plate, unlike many of the other competitors do.
Well, the thing I like, cut back to the camera package here, what I love about this is, let's say you're on a tripod. Now an assistant or a director can look at that screen. One, they're not up in your face, which is annoying.
Right.
And two, they can swivel and they can do you know, fizz operation or whatever they need to do. So when it's over here, the handle's in the way, and they're going to be fighting to get up in your grill there. So I don't really like that.
To relocate this monitor, it does require a bit from RED, this accessory here that connects to the side pogo connection, or the top pogo connection where the monitor used to go, and then you can relocate it with this cable.
Well, get it, because you need it.
Yeah, no, it makes it much more versatile. Not only that, you could mount this device here. If you cut back to this shot, this is the block here that the monitor screws onto. This is a RED piece here. You could then also put that on an arm and connect it to, if you can go back to the shot, the close-up of this, of me and the RED plate, we also have a place for our arms to connect. That's quick release here. It's a 15mm rod hole. So you could put an arm here and then have your monitor on a much more versatile
yeah, that's really cool,
positioning device. Yeah.
Let's go back to the shot, the close-up of the camera. Now, some people are going to want to have all these distribution boxes like Wooden Camera makes, and they're great. So in that point, you would put the battery on and the whole thing would get a little bit longer. You're creating a heavier camera package, but if you need fizz units and all those types of things, you need that. So now, you know, with our sliding top deck on our universal plate here, you just slide the camera back. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. You got tons of room. I mean, you literally, that's forward, but you can mount the camera more forward on the RED plate and then slide it back.
Slide it back even farther.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea here is you're going to get balance no matter what you do.
Just to go through a few more features of this plate, if you want to cut to this. These flat areas I have here are areas where you could mount sold separately rod mounts, so that you could have rods coming out the front to support motors over your lens, things like that. So that's another provision that we have here. These are RED approved pogo connectors, rock solid pass-throughs here, just like you would see on top of the camera. Of course, we have our vents so that the camera can stay cool. It's very thin, small profile, and 1/4-20s and 3/8 holes all over the top. So most of their accessories, if not all of them, can completely connect where it would on top of the camera.
All right, I want to see this thing on your shoulder. You know, we talk a big game here, but let's see if we actually do what we say we can do.
I mean, I can pick it up like with one finger because it's balanced easily here.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put it on my shoulder, and then with our new trigger grips, it's very instant down like this.
Boom. Now I want to see how strong those are. Show me how grips are supposed to be. Shake it all around.
These are, I mean, you can do anything with these grips.
Yeah,
they are rock solid.
So that's great.
Instant and rock solid. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that can change position this quickly and be that rock solid is rare.
Yeah, and you're a this is obviously here, we're in a one-man band scenario, but even, you know, because like if you were going to have a fizz unit or something like that, you would probably have somebody undoing all these rosettes and resetting all that for you. I don't know, you have your IFB on. I don't know if you have room back there. Here, let me see.
We'll see, but you want to see something really interesting?
Yeah, take your hands away. Let's see. Okay,
Let's see, any of those rigs we showed pictures of before, you cannot do this.
I mean, it's not that you need to do that, but the beauty now is like, go ahead and put your hand towards the lens.
I can finesse the camera. I don't have to use strength all day to hold it.
You're not using any strength.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I would stand up.
Go ahead, stand up. Let's see what happens here. I mean, you know, we're not saying to do that at home.
This is just antics.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that's pretty impressive. So, but the point is that you can actually just operate this camera, and you can visually see that it's balanced.
And it's compact, small.
Yeah. So now let's
balanced
see.
In the past, you needed, and a lot of those that we saw needed counterweight, and then you're 10 miles long.
I want to see it go on your shoulder, and then on that counter. How quick you can do that.
All right. So that's this.
Boom. That's how it's supposed to be. To us, you know.
Oh, no, but it'll go in your case much quicker and faster as well. You don't have to remove parts and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. Oh, God, talk about, let's not get into the shots that I have missed and went ballistic because I didn't have something, even with a Betacam, remember when we were shooting, we didn't have something that was that quick and ready to go, you know, or not a two-piece.
Right.
All right, Rachel, we're going to go to you a bit, and we also want, what are we not talking about?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a little point about the VCT base plate in particular. For people who might be using our universal plate with other cameras and want to build a RED rig, that this particular version has got a slightly higher rod riser, which you need for the RED cameras for matte boxes and lens supports, things like that. So just something to note if you're cobbling something together, which you can absolutely do because most of these parts, besides the top plate, are universal. And then I wanted to bring Johan in while you guys have sort of run through some features. Let's talk to someone else who's used it.
We will, but I want to, you brought up an interesting point that this really, if you were to go put a C300 on here, you can do that. It's going to be perfectly balanced.
Yeah, like she said, most of these parts you can use on any camera system. This RED, of course, as everyone knows, the lens height is taller. That's why you need a separate taller rod riser in the front, which can be got separately. So.
Well, and the other issue is this camera tends to be a bit top heavy. Let's not lie here because I don't know why that lens is higher, and it's also a box and it's tall. So when you have one of these rocket launchers that's out here, that's going to be even more wieldy because it's going to be
unwieldy.
Unwieldy. Thank you. I corrected you earlier. Now you corrected me.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we do. All right. So when it's on your shoulder, already you have this issue, and that is a big problem. So you want to keep this thing to me. I love this setup you have here because it's super light for this type of rig, and it's going to have way less of that wobble.
And our particular VCT base plate is one of the thinnest, if not the thinnest on the market, which helps keep that tallness of these tall cameras as low as possible, so that center of gravity is lower.
All right, let's introduce Johan. Johan.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I hope that wasn't too boring for you.
No, you took all my talking points away.
Ooh, all right, well, we're going to put you on the spot now, man. So I hear that Rachel, and look, I only have spoken 8 words to you, so everybody knows. But you seem like a really nice guy. I hear that Rachel, why don't you tell me how this whole happened where you guys sent a rig to Johan? What was the whole story there?
Well, we have a pro user group on Facebook. If you would like to join and you're watching, you can just go to our Facebook page, and under groups, we have a pro user group. And one of the things we do in that group is look for new filmmakers who we maybe haven't worked with before that we can loan gear to for beta testing or to get cool pictures, or just somebody who wants to try out the gear. So if you're interested in doing that, be sure to join our user group. And I put a post up there looking for RED users, and here Johan appeared. And we thought it was going to take a little bit longer to get him some gear, but then everybody sort of scrambled a little bit so we could have him on the show, which we really appreciate. And he's been using it for the last 5 days or so. So he's just sort of starting, but hopefully he's had some good experiences with it.
Okay, Johan, it's your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the top plate. My biggest thing with other top plates that I use was getting a 15 millimeter rod to connect the graticle or another EVF. And I think with the Z-Rail, it really eliminated a lot of extra accessories that I had to buy. I had to buy like a riser for a 15 millimeter rail, then I got to buy a 90-degree bend, and then I got to buy another riser just to kind of miss some of the lenses. One of the things that I really like, I have the Canon Cine CE prime lenses, and they go from the lens barrel almost out pretty quickly to their 114 millimeter diameter. And the thing that I really liked about the kind of the Z rail that you had sticking out on top of the plate was that it cleared those lenses. My other setup didn't clear those lenses. I had to cut the rods. I had to do a lot of jerry rigging in order to kind of get my EVF to mount.
Okay.
Great. So wait, I'm a little curious. So you say, how are you mounting your rod on top? Is that from the thing that I had mentioned before? Or are you doing it in a different way? Because there's multiple ways you can do these things.
Yeah, so the top plate that I use, I had to, again, kind of put a short 15 millimeter double rail, and then I had to get a riser to kind of raise another 15 millimeter so I can miss the lens.
Yeah.
Otherwise the lens would hit it. But this one, since it comes right off the base plate, it works really well. Where with the attachment that you guys gave me with the I don't know what it is, it's like 90-degree bend, and at the end it has a the 15 millimeter 90-degree turn. With that, I avoided all those like 15 millimeter risers to rise it up higher to clear a lens.
Wait, so is he using the one that we make?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have a picture of that? I don't know if we do. If not, Rachel, maybe you can find it in the store and put a link to it so people can see what it looks like. But essentially, it's just like a little widget that screws into those two little cutouts and gives you rods. The reason that we don't include it is some people don't use top rods, so why should we punish them and make them pay for it?
Exactly, right.
You know, that's a big issue that we run into sometimes is, you know, we always have these conversations where we don't want to punish people for things that they don't want. So if you feel like we're like throwing an ad on to you, we're, you know, like a little, we don't really have many of those.
Keeps the base cost down then for everybody.
Yeah, we really don't have many of those. We try to keep that to a minimum, put all the features in, but we also don't, that's the kind of thing that a lot of people might not use. You know, we've never used top rods. We always use the bottom rods for motors. We don't even use that many motors ourselves. We're more one-man band shooters.
Right, so I'm curious. I want to learn a little bit from how you're using it. Oh, I see that, Steve, he's using the graticle upside down like you like. See what the connector's coming out the top?
Yeah, otherwise it hits my nose. It tickles my nose.
Right,
Oh,
okay,
right.
That's interesting, but that's why we have rosettes on both sides, exactly for that reason. So how do you configure yours with the monitor and all that? Because it always bugs me that people like to use the monitor up front on the RED where the pogo connectors come out. I always think the monitor should be farther in the back, but everybody has a different way of working. Well, how do you do it?
Let me see if I can pop it off and show you.
I was thinking, boy, isn't he mic'd in there? But he's on a computer.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah,
So
I see what you got going.
I do have the monitor in front, and I understand what you guys were kind of saying it should be in the back. But typically, I like to use a different monitor in the back. I like to use the TV Logic monitors just because I find them to be color accurate. So I kind of like to expose in the camera, and the TV Logics kind of let me get really close to where I'm going to put it in post.
Now, do you have this on your shoulder with all those monitors in that position?
Yeah. And then sometimes when I put it, I usually go from shoulder to tripod. So when I put it in tripod, it's kind of at the right height so I can view.
Let me hold that rig up a little bit there. Let me see that. Yeah, I would say you probably still need to send that shoulder pad a wee bit more forward to have it perfectly balanced. When you're holding it, do you feel like there's some weight in your hands?
Well, he's got that monitor in the back that's counterbalancing it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no, you got that right, man.
Right. That's great.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, no, you got that right. What about this idea? Have you ever had rigs that are actually perfectly balanced?
Yeah, so I mean, I started using your Zacuto base plate when you had the original one, and I think it is a universal base plate, meaning I pop a C300 on it, I pop my Sony A7R on it when I kind of build out my my mirrorless a little bit bigger. So I always did try to kind of center the weight so that it is. I prefer a little bit front heavy. Because most of the time I'm shorter. I'm 5'4". Most of the time I'm kind of looking up a little bit. So when I do that, I can kind of the weight is kind of pressing against my my body so that I can support the camera without it being really strained.
Well, you got 4 points of contact there: the eye, the hands, and the shoulder.
I mean, I have heard other people that say that they like it just slightly front heavy, but I want to give you the option here. I don't want to, that idea of having that, I call it a rocket launcher, where this thing is out here and you're holding that. I see this, it's like we go to NAB.
Well, even still today shows rigs that people sell that way.
Everyone, we walk around NAB and we're just like, I can't understand how people can hold that.
Right.
I think that comes from a younger generation, like the DSLR, the people who grew up with DSLRs as being their first camera package. Because with a DSLR, if you're a DSLR user, usually you're on a tighter budget. So you're not having an extra monitor. Your monitor in the back of your camera is your monitor. So those systems, I want to say, developed from that. I wasn't around when beta cams were in use. I'm 25 years old. I've been freelancing for 7 years now. So I did grow up with the DSLR, but I would say all the advice that I got from older operators was save your back. And I think this lets you do it. This lets you save your back. I'm not, like you said, stressed out that I'm holding this, and then after a while you start to shake. You lose a shot.
I can't even look at that.
So this, most of the time I'm running. I'm talking to clients like this. And I'm
we have a
doing
term for that.
Yeah, parade rest.
We call that parade rest. With a beta cam, you used to do this sort of thing. You used to just let it kind of roll out like this, and you talk to clients. It's funny. That is a big deal. It's like, if you're doing this, you got to kind of hold it down, or like
put
here.
It down.
Or put it down, because you're dying.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we used to. I remember so many, my God, days and days and days where I'd be talking to, usually you're talking to the director. Jens is my DP, and he would let that baby go like this little resting period.
Or the Steadicam I'd put on my shoulder.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, and it actually helps your hand a little bit, to kind of, because it's always fixed in this position. Now these grips that you have on there, these are our Shorty Grips, and they don't have the ability to do twisting and turning and all that.
Like our other ones do, by the way.
Yeah, this isn't the only option, but it's an inexpensive option, and if you're not doing a ton of handheld, or that would be is a way to go. I don't know what our other grips are called. I don't know any of our names.
They're all trigger grips of different varieties.
But we do have trigger grips where you can just slightly turn your hands like this, and that changes your whole day. If you're doing a whole day of handheld, sometimes you want to do this, sometimes you want to tip it forward a little back like this.
Helps to reduce the fatigue.
Yeah.
But the other thing I noticed is...
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. I just have a question here from Scott about the shoulder pad, actually.
Yeah.
He says, I think he's talking about the QR shoulder pad, but he says, I have an older Zacuto shoulder rig, and the thing I loved was the ability to cock the camera at an angle to account for the slope of my shoulders, which was really great. Can that be attached to this rig? But I think you wouldn't want to attach something else to the rig, but it's the gel padding really just helps accommodate for that, right?
Yeah, I can address that. So yeah, the QR shoulder pad was a previous shoulder pad that was separate that you stuck onto our base plates. This has the same gel padding as part of the VCT whole base plate, so you don't have a separate piece. And it is also angled inside there. It's about a 7-degree angle so that it's not crooked when you set it on your shoulder, but it's so soft anyway that it molds to any shoulder shape and size and all that. So it shouldn't be an issue anyway. But it does have a built-in angle to the pads that are on this VCT, and,
now,
it's a permanent part of it.
I want to address what Rachel said. The QR shoulder pad was a little narrower, so it had the ability to do a little bit more of this, and not that that's good, it's just different. And also, just stay tuned, it's going to have a comeback in a better way. We are coming out with a bunch of new different types of base plates that are not VCT, and again, they're for different uses. Some are addressing what Johan said about being able to use DSLRs in cages, you know, so that you have the ability to do
balanced, not in front of you.
Yes. Yes, Johan, balanced and not in front of you, but using this sort of what I call a 3-stage rocket, which is, you know, the shoulder pad, the rod support, and then the camera, of which you can use it in either way, which is kind of nice. And again, it's just a different style, but it stays with our philosophy, man. Balanced. If I ever saw anything that wasn't balanced, I'm out. That's it.
You're out.
I'm going back to production.
I did have another question for Johan regarding, because I want to learn about different shooting styles. Of course, I always need to be on top of that. I see you have a follow focus that you operate right next to you there. And so being balanced also probably helps when you let go of that grip and grab that focus, that there's not a big shift in weight of the camera, right?
Right. I mean, that's the kind of what you're talking about with the strain relief is, you know, one hand is enough to kind of steady the shot, and then when you're moving from this to here, you'll be surprised how much motion you introduce to the shot. So if you have one hand that can really kind of support the weight, you know, your eye is against the piece, you have 2 points of contact, well, 3 points of contact really. You know, this movement doesn't actually mess up the image by you getting a little shake when you do that.
Right. That's funny because just as you're doing it, it doesn't even require a lot of shake. And I got to say, for a 25-year-old, you've kind of, it's pretty impressive that you get all these concepts that took us 35 years of operating to figure out.
Yeah. Well, I think some of these are intuitive. Once you've tried it balanced, why would you ever do anything else?
Right.
But did we ever send you, or have you ever tried our Tornado and Z-Drive, which is a follow focus unit that is a grip as well, so you never have to let go?
I'm aware of that device. I like this setup just because I can flip it to this other side, and when a job is big enough, I can get an AC.
Sure.
So I'm bringing one tool to kind of do two things.
Yeah, got
it. I understand that concept. This is just what I'm used to. So that's kind of it's.
Well, I like that it shows people that they can use other accessories with this, with not an issue as well.
Well,
you know?
he's doing this the right way. I mean, again, you know, I see so many people that are, you know, they buy these cameras and they do all this stuff, and that's lovely and everything, but they're not using it in the right way. Now, he has an assistant. That makes sense, you know. They may come in with a whip and do some follow focus, or when he's on a tripod, he has a traditional follow focus. That makes sense.
Or a fizz unit.
Yeah, what we're doing, what Jens was talking about is, again, we want to address the different types of shooters. There is if you're working on a reality show, you're a one-man band most likely. You know, they have 18 operators. They're not going to, I don't know, maybe they'll have 18 assistants with it, but for the most part at that point, you can hunker down, you can do your own focus, and it's rock solid. So, again, completely adjustable for a manual assistant, no assistant, or a remote assistant in a fizz scenario.
Rachel, any other questions? No, nothing from Victor? I'm shocked.
Yeah, what's with Victor? Victor, is he there?
Victor's saying hi. Victor and I are actually talking about tornadoes and Z-Drives right now. So
they have tornadoes
we're having a whole
Holland?
conversation over here.
What?
But one thing that I just wanted to touch on really quickly before we finish up is using our gratical eye with the RED as opposed to using the RED EVFs, the fact that it's universal, and Steve, I'm sure you're going to want to talk about the anti-fog as well, and to maybe get Johan's thoughts on using
and it's a lot cheaper.
REVF versus RED.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's half the price. You can use, most people have multiple cameras, so you can use this with all your cameras, including DSLRs. And obviously, she knows the whole anti-fog scenario that, you know, we have stuck every EVF in the freezer and they fog. I don't even care if it's not a freezer. Just life is, you know, it's wonderful when you're in LA. Everything, and even there it fogs, because when your eye and the moisture of your body, you know,
and you're sweating, yeah,
exactly. I mean, you're 100 degrees, man. That is a hot thing, essentially. You know, people are like, we don't think we're hot
and steamy.
We're hot and steamy people.
And you walk into an air-conditioned room,
oh, it's game over.
And then if you can't see,
and we've had catastrophes from ASC members with fogging scenarios where they don't know if the lens is fogging between filters. They just figure, oh, okay, that's what's going.
No, they thought it was the EVF. Yeah, they didn't check their filters.
Right. So you need to know if you're fogging or not. And we have our level 1 fog system, which is built into it. It comes with the level 2 discs, which are foolproof. I mean, we have done tests where it's from like 0 Celsius or 32 degrees in the freezer to like,
I think even colder, but
28 Celsius.
This needs its own show practically.
And or 100 degrees outside, and you just see the moisture dripping down the thing, and it will not fog, which is the key feature to an EVF, and the sharpness and whatnot. I like our EVF. I'm just that one. I'm gonna tout that thing. I try to be a little. You know, it's our philosophy, but that EVF is the EVF.
Yep.
What did you think of our EVF there, Johan?
I owned 2 Gradical eyes before, actually. Before you guys sent out this one. Why I sold them was because I was moving it to a different camera system. But to be honest, I sold mine about like a month ago, and I miss it. I'm gonna buy another one, just because. Minus the top plate, most of your equipment that you guys make is universal. The base plate, and I know you mentioned that the rods are slightly different for the RED camera, but I think you guys are adding that flexibility to for the RED users. But I think you can still put the C300 body on it and keep about 80% of the parts that I own on a C300 body, on an FS7 body. That's why I like Zacuto, because 80% of my investment isn't just for one camera. A lot of times the RED isn't the right camera to use. You know, the fan is loud for interviews, so I need to use a C300. And being able just to change out some parts and keep 80% of my gear the same, especially having a great EVF. This is probably the sharpest EVF that I've used. And the most flexible, the lightest, I don't know. So that to me is invaluable.
25-year-old. I swear, we're saying the same thing. A 25-year-old.
I like what he said about that. The camera, camera might not be right for a job. You never hear that from these younger guys. That's
I don't hear it from the older guys, and that's the thing I tuned in on is exactly that. Yeah. And yesterday I was on 2 other people's show, and the topic that came up in both shows.
The right tool for the right job?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I always say if I'm jumping out of a Humvee in a war situation, I do not want a RED. You know, that's when I want a GH5. Yeah. But if I'm shooting maybe an independent film or something, I do want a RED or an Alexa. But you never know. I mean, each situation is different.
But that's why we usually go with the philosophy of having most of the parts interchangeable between camera systems. You know?
Yeah, and most people own multiple cameras. Here, you're a 25-year-old, Johan. How many cameras do you have?
I've owned already 10 cameras. I have 4 cameras right now.
Oh my God!
Well, you must have said you're 45 or something.
Yeah, right. We don't own 10 cameras. We've got like 3.
No.
Okay. Well, this was awesome. How about you, Rachel? We good?
We are doing good. I wanted to say thank you so much to Johan for chatting with me and letting this all happen so quickly. I'm looking forward to seeing a little more from you around the end of the month. So for people watching who are intrigued to see what Johan might be doing with his camera and his rig, we're working together and we'll have a little bit more to show you in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, thank you everybody so much for watching. A big thank you to ICANN who provide the lighting for our show and our new sponsor Rode Mics. And next week we will be discussing global cinematography with DP Yuri Neyman, who's an ASC member and is a founding partner of the Global Cinematography Institute. So a bit of a twist for the next show, which will be fun. We will see you there next Wednesday, 11 a.m. CST. Bye.